I'm Joe Lample. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a Greener World, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. Although the trend towards organically grown food has taken off in recent years, it hasn't been as fast for the floral industry. But when you think about it, those flowers that come into our homes and offices and celebrations, where they're touched and smelled and handled, usually around food, well, that's enough of a reason why we shouldn't want them to be full of pesticides and chemicals, right? But sadly, most of those flowers that we buy aren't grown or shipped in environmentally friendly ways. And we're not the first to have these concerns. In fact, garden writer and award-winning author Deborah Prenzing, along with award-winning photographer David Perry, have been passionate about this issue for years. Both based in Seattle, they're currently working together on a book for people in search of organic and eco-consciously grown flowers. Their goal is to equip consumers with choices and offer a more informed approach to something we take for granted in our everyday lives.
There's nothing more beautiful than receiving a bouquet of flowers. But many people don't even know where these flowers come from. Did you know that more than 80% of cut flowers sold in the United States aren't even grown here? They come from overseas, and they're grown conventionally, which means they have to be sprayed with chemicals and fumigants just to be shipped into the United States. Like everything, flowers have their own season, and each is unique at its own time of year. So if we can learn to observe that and appreciate the fragrances and the color and the beauty in the moment when that flower is growing, bring that into our vases, that's really a sustainable way to enjoy flowers. And that's really what I'm interested in seeing people do more of.
It certainly seems that we're slow to jump on the organic flower bandwagon, and perhaps that's because we're so focused on the way our food is produced, organically and sustainably. But when you think about it, the way flowers are grown, well, that can have a serious environmental impact too, not only on our own health, but the health of the planet. So even though we may not be eating the flowers we buy, it still helps to take a look at how they were grown and handled and brought to the market, so we can make more informed decisions. And here's the really important part. How we choose to spend those dollars really can affect the methods behind those flowers or food or anything else for that matter. And yes, it might take some more effort and cost on our part, but it really can make a huge difference in the world we live in.
It's all about being thoughtful and intentional about my flower choices. For example, in February, I would love to buy roses, but they're not grown here locally in Washington State. However, I know there's a grower in Oregon, one state away, and even getting them, a couple hundred miles away is still lots more sustainable than importing those roses. And that's what I try to do when I'm looking for flowers, is see how close I can get them to my home. My passion for flowers has led me to meet so many great flower farmers and floral designers who are using sustainable practices, which has inspired this project. So we're really trying to follow the path that cut flowers take from the farm to the vase, to the very bouquet on your kitchen table that adds beauty to your life.
I get asked a lot why the big deal with sustainably grown flowers. And as a photographer, people assume that my whole deal is the visual side of things, but I'm a human being and I'm just as intrigued and just as mystified and just as enchanted by the smells of them and the textures of them and the freshness of them. And I can tell when a flower was just picked yesterday versus picked too early and ready for shipping and then held in a warehouse and sold through an auction and flown halfway across the world. I can tell. There is a difference. I'm in a lot of gardens. I'm also on a lot of farms. I've been photographing agriculture for almost 25 years now. One of the main things that I notice about sustainably grown crops, whether they're flowers or any crop, is the life that's around. On these sustainably grown flower farms, there's bird life everywhere. The birds are part of the system. They actually come in. The insects are essential. Instead of considered enemies, they're actually considered partners. And the birds feed on the insects, and there's this whole sort of intertwinedness. And it might sound crazy, but I actually think that you can see it in the flowers and in the pictures of the flowers that are made on farms that are run this way. So if I'm not crazy and you actually can tell the difference, a big part of that, a big part of the credit for that has to go to these magicians, these dedicated, passionate, sustainable flower farmers who are making a difference and allowing me, by the way I spend my dollars, to make a difference as well.
You know, for the consumer, there are several reasons for buying local, beyond just keeping the money in the community. Nice. First, when you buy locally grown flowers, you're able to use regional material that you can't find in the commercial floral trade. And two, there are lots of unusual and heirloom varieties that you just might not see except in your grandmother's backyard. And three, these flowers are full, and I mean full, of fragrance. Nice job you have here. Need some help?
Sure.
Okay.
Got your clippers?
Clip, clip. You see, in the trade, fragrance has been bred out of most of the flowers since fragrance reduces the vase life. But if the plants don't have to be shipped, that doesn't matter. So when you walk into a grocery store and maybe buy an ordinary bouquet and smell nothing, well, compare that to a sustainable bouquet where fragrance can fill the room. And there's a bonus. When you buy local, you might just run into the person behind the flowers, and that can make any bouquet even more special. Making the commitment to grow flowers sustainably has its challenges, especially when you consider having to compete against the rock-bottom prices of the low-cost imports. Diane Sukhavati and her husband, Dennis Westfall, know this challenge all too well. They own Jello Mold Farm, located in the rich Skagit River Valley of Washington State. They're on 7 acres. They grow over 150 varieties of cut flowers using only eco-friendly methods, and they're committed to stewarding the land at the same time. While keeping the natural balance between the soil and the wildlife that surrounds them, they're also trying to help shift the floral industry towards more sustainability, one flower at a time.
So our philosophy on this farm is that we want to leave it better than we found it. And that starts with taking care of the soil and contributing to the soil and taking care of the plants and being generous, basically, a spirit of generosity. But also it has to do with trying to make a living from the land. If we can create a partnership with the community where the community supports us enough that we can thrive and keep taking care of this piece of land, and we can create an infrastructure of local flower farming where people can raise their families doing this beautiful profession, how great is that? So people sometimes, they ask me, how can you make a living when there's so much cheap floral products available out there? And I think that we do it in several ways. One is that we grow a lot of specialty products. We grow things that you can't ship. And we grow, specialized, regional, and amazing, unusual diversity of crops. And we also are extremely high quality in what we do. We pay a lot of attention to stage of harvest. We have a beautiful, abundant variety of offerings. And also we emphasize quality. People are willing to pay for that, and they want to know their farmer. And so I have found that we have a loyal following of people who are very happy to pay a fair price for flowers grown in their own backyard. And because of that, we're very grateful to say, with gratitude I can say that we are making a living doing what we do. And that is definitely a community partnership between the farmer and the people who enjoy our flowers. We're selling to a lot of florists and designers and wedding planners all around the Seattle area. Basically what this farm is a great big art supply store. and it's got a lot of color and people love all the textures. We sell mostly to professional florists, and then we also sell at the Queen Anne Farmers Market on the top of Queen Anne Hill in Seattle. Well, I think my vision has been given to me by my customers. I really think that the joy that I see in people's faces when they see what's available in locally grown, high quality flowers with just an amazing botanic diversity, it just inspires people. It connects them to nature, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful way to enjoy life. And I love the connection with the public because we're also very committed to education. We're growing on maybe 4.5, maybe 5 acres here. We have 7, but there's some blackberries out back and there's some natural land. I think there's a need that's much bigger than our farm could serve. I mean, really, I think we could, I can see a vision for beautiful flowers that are locally grown being provided all across this country. And so the industry, we have a lot of imported flowers in this day and age, and I think a lot of our beautiful heirloom knowledge is getting lost from an industry that used to exist. And so I'm very committed to carry on that bank of knowledge and teach new growers and even backyard growers more about what they can cut from their own gardens. There's so much fun to be had in it, and it really is an ancient human tradition. It's not like it's something we invented in this century. So I love the connection. I love being able to educate new growers and my own customers about cut flowers. When you buy like local cut flowers that were grown near to your home, you're paying a lot less money for, you're not paying for those flowers to be transported. You're helping farmers in your community survive and thrive. And if you buy flowers that are sustainably grown, you're actually a steward of the land yourself when you do that. People love to connect to small family farms and understand that they're part of that investment in this planet that we have. It's really interesting when I'm selling at the farmers market. I love to watch people looking at the flowers and interacting with the flowers, because I especially love to watch children. Because there's a lot more men who love flowers than will let on to it. They can tell that because of how many little boys love flowers. And I think it's something we're born with. I think there's actually, not everyone has it, but many people have it. It's like a need, it's like color is food, and the connection with plants is like necessary. I watch people who buy themselves flowers, and they're very happy people generally. I think it's a wonderful thing to do for the planet, to be kind to yourself in that way. And people it seems to really improve their lives. They have a lot of joy from this connection to nature. And we all carry that. We are nature, so we carry that in us. The other thing that you get when you buy sustainably grown local flowers is you get an investment in the ground around you. You get an investment in the farmland that surrounds where you live. And you get to understand a little bit more about that farmer's life, but you also, when you buy those flowers, you're contributing to the caretaking of a piece of ground. And it does matter. It matters more than just whether it was sprayed or not. It matters that the fish are healthy and all the things that, that belong to all of us. And that's part of what you get when you make that choice to buy sustainably grown.
There is one more advantage to buying local, and that being freshness. Bouquets that were shipped in from far away were picked sometimes weeks ago, but in a place like this, a flower market, these flowers were picked less than 24 hours ago.
When it comes to using fresh local materials, Stacy Sutliff of Blush Custom Floral knows her stuff. She's a floral designer who specializes in beautiful garden-style arrangements for weddings, special events, and home interiors. When possible, she likes to buy directly from the farmers for her designs, sometimes even walking the fields with the grower before a big event to determine the freshest product possible. Her clients know that with Stacy, their flowers are colorful and green at the same time.
I prefer to use locally grown and sustainably grown materials for my business. First off, because I live in the Skagit Valley and I want this place to continue to be farmland and beautiful the way that it was meant to be and the way that it is. It's also a business decision for me. I feel so much more confident when I hand a bride a bouquet and I know the source of those materials, and I know that they've been picked fresh, and I know that the dirt that they were grown in is healthy. I am so much more comfortable knowing the source of things that I give my brides, and I know they're going to be more beautiful when I give them to them. So I'm trying to focus on encouraging my brides to have a greater sense of not only you know, the look of the flowers that they're getting for their wedding, but also where they come from. I would say when my clients initially come to me, probably only about half of them are very interested in the flowers being sustainably grown. And it's my responsibility as a designer to sort of introduce to them what that means, both from a sort of a social responsibility level and from a level of what they're going to get in the final product. And I think when you say locally grown or sustainably grown to a lot of people, they have this vision of this hippy-dippy bouquet and it's in a mason jar and their aunt put it together and it's not at all what they want on their table or to walk down the aisle with. So I think that demonstrating to them how sophisticated these flowers can be, if used properly, is the way to really resonate with them and also to encourage them to use these flowers. Because really what they're looking for is they're looking for a vision that they have in their own mind. And it's my responsibility to give it to them in a way that I want to for my business, but that still sort of makes their dream come true. Just as people are thinking more about buying locally grown, sustainably grown food, I'm hoping that they'll start thinking of their flowers in that sense also. And the first thing that they can do is look outside their kitchen window. See what's growing. If you don't have a kitchen window and you live in the middle of a city, go to your farmer's market. See what's not only being offered by maybe the flower growers, but the vegetable growers or the fruit growers or nut trees. There are all sorts of things that you can eat and also adorn your home with. And if you don't have access to a wonderful farmer's market, go to your local grocer and start asking, where are these things coming from? The farmers are ready, willing, and able to give us these products. We, as the consumers, just need to create the demand.
As we celebrate those occasions in our lives that involve flowers, be mindful of how those flowers came into our hands and seek out those farmers and florists who are growing and sourcing those flowers responsibly.
That's right. And by buying locally grown flowers, or even by visiting your local farmers markets, you can discover a world of colors and fragrances, just like you would with fresh seasonal produce.
For more information on the sustainable floral industry, as well as links to help you in your quest for more eco-friendly flowers.
For my recipe from today's episode or any of the past episodes.
Yeah, it's all on our website and the address is the same as our name. It's growingagreenerworld.com. I'm Joe Lample.
And I'm Nathan Lyon.
And we'll see you back here next time for more Growing a Greener World. And hey, by the way, artichoke's very smart. Yeah. I need to get some flowers for my wife, by the way.
Good call.
Yeah.